Welcome, everyone, today. Today we're going to have a nice discussion about essentials of effective report design. My name is Scott Anderson. I'm a solutions engineer or a technical strategist with Jaspersoft, and I'll be conducting our webinar today. Now, if you do have questions or comments, please feel free to use the Q&A window. I probably won't get to those questions till the end of our session today. But first off, why a webinar on effective report design? As I've supported Jaspersoft for more than a decade, I've frequently entertained a question about whether Jaspersoft can create a, quote, sexy report. Now, to get past internet filters, we came up with the word dazzling. Now, a dazzling or an effective report is more than just how it looks, although that is a major part of it. So let's get started. Now, first we're going to talk about what makes an effective report. Then we'll jump in and I'll show you some examples of how effective reporting can be accomplished within Jaspersoft. Now, there are several different types of reporting. First, there's traditional reporting or pixel-perfect reporting. Some examples of this type of reporting include statements, invoices, spreadsheets, PDFs. Anytime a formatted document needs to be produced. From a more BI or business intelligence standpoint, you have dashboards. This includes the presentation of information using multiple visualizations in a more interactive format. Also related to BI, you have an ad hoc designer, which provides self-service reporting and data exploration. Now, as I discuss effective reporting, I'll mention how each aspect applies to the various types of reporting. Now, when developing effective reporting, the following areas should be considered. First, clarity and focus. That's the what you're trying to report or accomplish. There's the aesthetics. That's the appearance piece. Impact and engagement provides how, where, and when the reports are delivered. And the relevance and insight deal with the results you're trying to accomplish. Let's start off with the clarity and focus aspect of it. Now, first off, the report should have a clear purpose, and it needs to tell a story. It's immediately obvious to the user what the viewer should take away. In traditional reporting, the entire document delivers a story or purpose. With dashboards, adding in navigation such as drill down and drill across and other navigation allows the story to be developed over time, ending up at a resolution. With self-service, you provide data to allow the user to reach the conclusion. You also need to consider how cluttered your design is. You need to avoid unnecessary elements that distract from the main point. Don't add in charts just because the chart looks cool. In traditional reporting, you have limited space and you want to use it to maximize its use. When dashboards, the information should flow from visualization to visualization. And with self-service, you need an easy-to-use interface and you need the data available for the end user to consume. And you want to emphasize the most important information. The key data points or trends are highlighted visually, making them easier to grasp. With traditional reporting, important stuff, you put important stuff at the top of the document and ending up with the desired result. With dashboards, you use of KPIs, charts, and then you can navigate down to more detailed information. And then self-service, the data fields are organized with the user in mind. The next item is that aesthetics aspect. Basically, your report does need to be visually appealing, your reporting or dashboards. And now use of color, typography, and layout, you can create an attractive and an engaging design. You want a professional look to your report. You need to have pay attention to details such as alignment, spacing, and labeling. it creates that polished look. Now, with traditional reporting, you need to have pixel perfect design capability, very exact control over the look and feel. With dashboards, you want to consider the white space and the layout, the organization of your reports and the visualizations. And self-service, of course, you want to be able to format the end result, give that exploration a kind of final finishing touch. And the type of chart you use is also important. It should be well suited to the data being presented. And the type of chart applies to all types of reporting, the traditional, the dashboard, and the self-service. The next aspect is how can you drive the impact and the engagement of your audience? You need to start off, you need to have a compelling narrative. The visualization should tell a story that resonates with the audience. With traditional reporting, even a physical document can tell a story. It has a story around it. With dashboards, the narrative can be represented through flow and navigation, as well as the types of visualizations you're seeing. And self-service, basically, that allows the user to tell their own story within boundaries. Now, interactive elements allows you to make the data more explorable and engaging. In the traditional report, that interaction is with the physical document is typically done with their eyes. So as the eyes move across the document, that's how that story develops. With dashboards, you can control that interaction with drill down and navigation, where users can go from step to step. And you want to truly create a memorable experience for using your visualization. It needs to leave a lasting impression. Now, a couple of years ago, I took a presentation class, and as part of that, they said that typically users retain about 10% of any presentation they attend or they see, and the goal is to control the 10%. And I think when you're designing a report, it's the same way. You want to control that 10%, control the information the users are getting. And you need to ask yourself, where are your eyes going? What does the navigation draw the attention to by using your visualizations? And then we arrive at the final relevance and insight. Basically, to start off with, the data that's presented in the report needs to be relevant and provide valuable insights to the audience. In traditional reports, you have that limited space, so you need to fill it with meaningful content. With dashboards, you need to tie the visualization and navigation to the data and the purpose. With self-service, the business information presented to the user should represent the available data. So basically, you need to provide that content to the user in a usable format. My thoughts go back. A lot of times people say, well, I got millions of rows of data I need to produce. Well, I have yet to meet anybody that can understand and consume a million rows of data in a report. However, you do have, that's why you need to have some navigation, some flow in your data. So you start off with the high level and you drill down into the more important details. Now that data needs to be presented in context. That makes it easy for the user to understand its significance. Now that context can be presented via the visualization type, via navigation, and further context can be provided via input controls and be tied to the user accessing the report via security. Ultimately, you want to be able to provide actionable insight. And basically, an effective visualization can inspire action or change based on the insights it reveals. In traditional reporting, a hard copy document can even inspire action. That action and change can be inspired by including a chart on a statement that motivates change in the user's usage of the related account. or adding a QR code or a barcode can make payments easier. In dashboards, the flow should bring the user to the final information, and then they can make the appropriate actions. Self-service can allow the users to uncover hidden information that can impact their decisions. Bottom line, you need to ask yourself, does the reporting provide the desired result? Now let's talk a little bit about how Jaspersoft can help you create this effective reporting. We'll start off talking about Jaspersoft Studio, which is our desktop report and design environment. It's also available in the web version, but it's a pixel-perfect designer, giving you a lot of control over how that report will look. We'll then jump into how dashboards can be utilized to provide that effective reporting. We'll look at our ad hoc report design capabilities. We'll explore how visualizations can be integrated with your application. And then we'll take it into account some of the other considerations that are out there. So let's start off with our Jaspersoft Studio. Let's see. So this is Jaspersoft Studio. It's a pixel-perfect report designer, and it's a banded report designer. It's a very powerful design option. Within the Jaspersoft Studio design environment, you have very detailed control over the content. Every component has its own properties. So you can, and using those properties, you can identify everything from positioning and location to spacing. You can control formatting. You control hyperlinking. There's a lot of things that you can add and control with regards to your report design. You have a lot of different, wide variety of components that you can utilize in your reports, ranging from simple text fields and lines and images to more complex lists and charts and crosstabs, tabular reports, even creating sub-reports, so you can do multiple levels of reporting. You can also build into your reports backgrounds and give it a more dazzling experience when compared to just a white page background. You can add in images to your report, allowing even more flexibility in that end result you desire. Now, Jaspersoft Studio, when you're creating a report in Jaspersoft Studio, you can have templates which facilitate your styling, so you don't have to start from scratch. Basically, you can start with just a blank template, but you can also have predefined styles. Here's a number of the templates that we provide out of the box, but you can actually take and create your own templates, making it so that you can provide the styling, the iconography, the formatting that reinforces your brand, your organization's look and feel. Now let's go and look at some examples of some pixel-perfect reports that basically show how some of the considerations when you're creating these detailed reports. This first report shows how you can structure a static report to tell a story. The top of the information has information about the company, the logo. You got this barcode here as well. You then flow through the customer information, then you get the details of the particular invoice, and then you have some wrap-up information. Basically, you could adding barcode provides you some scanning capability, and you basically you end up with a dynamic, actionable document. You can even add a payment coupon at the bottom to facilitate action. Now, this next example takes that visualization a step further. It shows how the simple addition of a background image can transform a normal invoice into a dazzling document. A quick look at Studio, we can see how that is accomplished. So here's that invoice, and we've basically stuck an image at the top of the report, another image down to show up at the bottom of the report. You can put it on the background images, and incidentally, you can use in Studio. You can actually use a background image for the purpose of designing your report, and then you can print it, actually have printed on forms. So there's a lot that you can do with Jaspersoft Studio. Now, you can also use colors and to emphasize content. This is more than just a standard tabular report. It's adds some color to emphasize certain aspects of the report, even in a basic table. Now, I do have one more example I want to show you, and so I'm going to log over into the server to show you some of the things, the different reports. But I've got this customer detail report. And this shows you a little bit more complex report, but again, it provides you with the flow. You've got the customer information at the top, and you have a couple of charts that demonstrate this particular customer's buying habits, buying profile, shopping profile. And then at the bottom, you have a detailed report on what this customer has purchased. And you can have multiple pages, you can page through, etc. But a lot of times, when it comes to aesthetics, the opinions vary. Some people like different colors, different arrangements, and in some instances, they'll need different content. Well, Jaspersoft, you can actually have a common report like this, and you can allow the user to further refine the report. Maybe they want to change this from a columnar chart to a bar chart. They can also move columns around. They can sort on columns. They can filter on columns. So they can filter out content that they can show only content, zoom in on content that they want to see. They can hide columns. They can show columns. They can show hidden columns. They can add formatting. Perhaps they want to change the heading or the heading format. You can also allow the user to change the detail formatting. And you can even add in conditional formatting. Perhaps I want to take those higher priced items and make them a little bit, make them bold and put a bright green background so that they jump out at you. And so without any interaction with the technical department, I've been able to take this report and tailor it to match my needs. Now that's very effective. And then I can actually take this modified report and save it back into the repository in a location that you've given me access to, of course. And so I'm going to just go save that report out there. And now I have taken that report and applied my own personal aesthetic to this report. Now, Jaspersoft also allows you to design sub-reports or widgets that can be reused. For example, a very common component in visualization is, actually, let me jump back over here. A very common, a common way of putting things on dashboards is the display of KPIs. And so here's a basic dashboard, and it shows you a bunch of information, but the KPIs are basically shown with a number and then a circle with a color to indicate it. Now, this is a great way to present different the KPIs, but there's one problem. Color, even though it's powerful, colorblind people really, red and green appears the same, so it kind of defeats the purpose of having that colors. But what you can do is you can actually present it more than just the color. You can actually use Jaspersoft Studio to create a KPI widget that can be reused, and so you can design it once and reuse it. And so here I have a little KPI widget I've created, and it has different images depending on the values that are passed into it. And so here's that particular sub-report utilized in a KPI bar. And it's used 4 different things, sends 4 different values. And so basically it can be set up so that you pass in the label, the value, and then the range, which each different color will be displayed. And very easily, you can create a more dynamic KPI presentation. And now the things that I'm showing you here, they're just images. And so you can use 3D images. You can use whatever image you want that reflects your business, reflects your organization, and add even more dynamic nature or dazzling nature to your reports. Let's go back over to the server, and we can see some other examples of presenting KPIs. Let's go see if I can pull up another dashboard here that in this case, the dashboard is presenting more in a more textual way, and then the image is muted, is down. Plus, this shows you some additional ways that you can present content to your dashboard. Now, Jaspersoft Studio also provides the ability to format content depending on the export. The export format. So you can have custom formatting that gets brought out for specific aspects of it. Let me see if I can get down here to my, there we go. Basically, I want to show you some of the properties that are available to you when designing a report. Now, those properties, basically, it can go everything from, so when you're exporting to specific formats, you can control additional formatting for those formats. So, for example, you can add formulas to filter to a Excel spreadsheet or PDF document. You could add in accessibility properties that facilitate the accessibility of your document. So you can design accessible reporting. So that gives you an idea of some of the things you can do with Jaspersoft. Now let's go look at those dashboards a little bit more. Come back over here. Let's see. I'm going to use this basic Supermart dashboard as a starting point for a conversation. And it's a good example of the KPI presentation. In this scenario, it uses widgets to display the KPIs in addition to using color. And you also have navigation off the KPIs where you can click on a KPI and it zooms in on that. In this case, it's zooming in on the country. And you can actually control what information is passed from click to click. But let's go ahead and look at one of these other dashboards. Let's look at the sales metrics dashboard. Now this one's not too bad aesthetically. There's nice colors, a variety of charts. However, upon closer examination, you can see how different chart types can impact the effectiveness of a dashboard. Jaspersoft has the ability to actually change the chart type so you can get some flexibility around this. For example, the sales by country. I'm going to zoom in so you can see it a little bit better. But the sales by country, it gives you, right now, it's showing you focusing on the division across the country per quarter. Well, if you use a different visualization, you can actually just come over here and use maybe a bar chart or a columnar chart. You now see the breakdown quarter by quarter for country. And so it's just a different view of the data. Depending on what you're trying to communicate, you may want to utilize a different visualization. Now, if you look at the store type by city, that gets kind of small. If the individual rows gets too small, the information you can communicate visually becomes difficult. And so you may want to change the visualization type. However, you also might just implement drill down. So in this case, I can click on the country over here and it'll drill down to that particular country's items. And this visualization now becomes much more useful. The bubble chart at the bottom, it can help you understand basically a lot of can communicate a lot of information as long as you understand how bubble charts work. Basically, the bubble chart works so you got the vertical and horizontal axes, which the positioning and gives them information, and then a third value is represented based on the size, reflected in the size of the bubble. And so you have to kind of have an understanding of what's being represented. And the use of tooltips enables you to provide more detail about that information. So you can see, mouse over, and you can see that the size of this is likely based on the store cells, relative store cells. So so basically, using different chart types can communicate different pieces of information. Now we come to this spider chart. Now spider charts really do look cool. They do look fancy, but what does it communicate? How well does it communicate that information? Now that same information may be communicated more effectively with a simpler chart. So you need to balance the pizzazz and the dazzle with the information you're trying to communicate. Now let's go look at another one of our dashboards. We'll jump over to this expense metrics dashboard. Now this dashboard shows some more examples of charts that are available. But this dashboard shows another consideration. The impact of how the visualization is viewed needs to be considered. If I shrink this dashboard down, now all of a sudden the information isn't even displayed. It's more label and less visualization. Now this waterfall chart is very useful information, but if you don't see it on all your devices, it becomes not useful. Although you do have the ability to zoom in using the Jaspersoft as well. And Jaspersoft does provide multiple approaches to provide responsive report design, from considerations you can use within Jaspersoft Studio, as well as controlling the dashboard, inclusion of dashboard components, how you're going to introduce scroll bars to facilitate the visualization and the consumption of the data. Let's see. Let's go to this inventory metrics dashboard. Let's see. This again shows you some additional ways to present your data, but I want to focus in on this supply time to warehouse dashboard. Now with scatter plots, the purpose of scatter plots is to show the arrangement of data. It's not necessarily designed to show specific content. And having small icons is great in some cases, but maybe you want to, it's a bit small, maybe you want to enhance that. The other thing is there's hidden data. There's that little blue dot that's hidden there that you can't see at the high level. Of course, the zoom capability that Jaspersoft provides is very useful. But say though, instead, maybe you want to make those a little bit bigger. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to actually edit this. I'm going to edit the dashboard, and then I'm going to edit the ad hoc chart that's sitting here. And I can use these advanced properties over here on the right to basically make that marker bigger. Just go out. Basically, we've got a lot. Jaspersoft uses high charts as its charting library, and so you can actually reference high charts to get what these properties are. But very quickly, I can make it so now that the markers are bigger. So I just save that out there. Now it takes up the white space. May not look that. Again, it's focusing more on the data points and less on the data. So that's, again, a consideration you need to do with regards to how you present the data. Now, you can also provide navigation from your you can navigate from your dashboard outside. So you can actually set it up so that when you click on a component in your reporting, it goes off to, in this case, it pulls off to a wiki article on the location. And so that allows you to integrate your reports with and dashboards with content outside of the report and or the dashboard. Let's go back to that. Let's see. We've already looked at the. Let's look at another dashboard here. Let's see. Come back over here to my dashboard list. Here's another example of a dashboard that basically you can see it shows some additional navigation capability. So in addition to the drill across and drill down capability, you can also build into your design the ability to, within a chart, drill down. So you can get down to lower and lower levels, and you get the little breadcrumb here as well. Now, that is actually available in our ad hoc designer. So let's go look at that ad hoc design a bit more detail. So I'm going to pull this up so I can talk about how you can put together that exploratory capability of Jaspersoft. First off, so this is the ad hoc designer. Over on the left, you see you have a variety of components. You've got these are the different fields that are available to you. You get a complete list. If you notice, they're organized kind of in a business context rather than a database context, making it easier for the user to see. The user can also on the fly make custom fields. In this case, I've created this profit field where I can take fields that are provided in the model and create additional content. And there's a number of functions that are available to create that, to further refine that content, ranging from numeric fields, you got string fields, date and calendar fields, you got logic fields, so you make very complex formulas. So you can basically write your own formula. You can control how the data gets aggregated. So there's a lot you can do with just the data pieces. And then you just arrange the data into rows and columns just by a drag and drop interface, and it creates the visualization. There's a variety of visualizations that are available. You got crosstabs, you got bar charts, line charts, area charts, you got scatter charts, pie charts, seat and tree maps. And each piece of content, if you select it, it says what's needed to create that type of report. So I've got, in this case, I need a time date field in the row, zero more fields in the column, and several measures, one or more measures in the column. So it basically tells you what's needed for the different chart types. Now, you can also add filtering to your data exploration. The user can use any field over here in the left to filter down the data, zoom in on subsets of the data. You can also implement drill down capability. You can say, I want to go a specific, you can say I want to go to a specific level for this report, or you can turn it on so that it's drill down capable. And over here on the right is you have the ability to format your visualization, everything from title and labeling to coloring, and then that advanced property capability. Now, as I said, the Jaspersoft uses HighCharts as a charting library. Here's a wiki article that talks a little bit about some of the things that you can do with our advanced chart formatting within the ad hoc designer. So it gives you some ideas there. You also can access the HighChart API reference. These are a lot of different things that you can do. So you can add 3D effects or control labeling, etc. There's a lot of things that you can do with that. So let's see. What else can I tell you about this? Your colors. You can change colors, and then you can take these reports and you can save them and publish them. And when you publish these ad hoc views, you can again, apply a template to it, which allows you to put headers, footers, logos, styles, etc., onto those reports. Even the ad hoc report has that finished look to it, that dazzle to it. Now, beyond the basics of report and dashboard design and delivery via the UI or via scheduling, Jaspersoft offers a robust way to integrate within applications. This gives you even more options to dazzle your report consumer. I've got this sample report. This is a sample website that has taken Jaspersoft and embedded it in an application. This gives you additional formatting options. It also gives you the ability, these coffee cups are like third-party visualizations. You can bring in additional visualizations to both a web page and have Jaspersoft provide the data to it, or you can add those visualizations to Jaspersoft Studio Report using our custom visualization component. You also can create a very great user experience. You have very detailed control over that user experience using the visualizations. In this case, I've got 4 reports created in Jaspersoft, and I can then take and capture events off of this right chart. And as I click on the chart, it adds it to the input control area up here, and it updates my other reports on the fly. And then once everything gets selected, I can then come up here and run a pixel perfect report that gives me more detail on what that report, what the blend is for my store is now, profile of my store. And so it gives me details. And then I can export this to a variety of formats, PDF, Word, Excel, PowerPoint. So you have ultimate control over that look and feel. The styling is all up to you. You can actually apply your styles based on your application using CSS styles. Now, there's some other considerations that you need to pay attention to. Now, the color palette. Jaspersoft is delivered with a specific starting color palette. Well, you can actually override that and change that color palette to match what you want it to be. And that can be set both for the Jasper Report server as well as the Jaspersoft Studio designed reports. As I mentioned, the chart type selection is critical. Depending on what type of information you want to communicate, you need to have you use different charts. For example, line charts and area charts, they're great for showing trends over time and relationships between content over dimensions. Bar charts and column charts are ideal for comparing content, whether it be exact or showing from 0 to a maximum. It allows you to compare that content based on various dimensions. If you want to see the makeup of a business, you can use pie charts, donut charts, stacked bar and column charts, and tree maps, which are very effective to display the composition of each part while providing a visual comparison of the overall values. If you got relationships and you want to focus on the relationship between content and distributions, that's where you can use scatter plots and heat maps. And you can also put your data on a geographic basis. You can add your data to maps, to map-oriented charts. And then the final thing that you need to consider is how the report is going to be delivered. And that delivery needs to be considered when you're designing a report. An emailed or a printed report is going to be designed differently than a report delivered via an application. And a report viewed on a computer screen is different than one that's delivered via a handheld device. So those also need to be considered when you are designing reports. So to wrap up basically, Jaspersoft provides you with the tools you need and the ability to implement all aspects of effective reporting, from creating a purpose and a narrative through appearance, engagement, and finally the result. Jaspersoft facilitates the desired delivery of your effective reporting solution. Now that you have the information around effective reporting, put that knowledge to use. You can download our commercial edition of Jaspersoft and try it out for 30 days on us. It includes access to the entire commercial offering, and Jaspersoft will provide support throughout your evaluation efforts. And you can access it at jaspersoft.com/trial. Now this month we achieved some third-party recognition that we're pretty proud of. Jaspersoft earned 26 leader badges in G2's peer-to-peer software site's Fall 2025 reports, released on September 9th. Now, G2 is the world's largest and most trusted software marketplace. This recognition comes from individual reviews by existing Jaspersoft customers. Jaspersoft is recognized as a leader in embedded BI. Now, from the point of view of this particular webinar, Jaspersoft's top benefit includes robust, customizable reporting. Well, we're going to pause here and let's see if there's any questions. So, first question, let's see. Say I'm trying to work on a table, which is the only thing I am trying to include in a detail band. So I've created a sub data set for that table, but I'm not getting any data printed. I am always getting the empty report. Typically, there's going to be likely something that's tied to communicating some kind of a parameter to the query that populates the table. There needs to be some kind of content sent to that. Now, one other aspect of it, though, is if it's on the detail band, that would mean that you want to produce multiple tabular entries, tabular reports, a separate one for each item coming back from the main query. If you want to just have a table associated with your report, put that table widget on either the title band or the summary band, and that should then display the table. Typically, the detail band is used to display detail rows for a specific entry coming back from your main query. Next question. I'm looking for some hands-on training for my team. Any recommendations? We've got a couple of possibilities. If you're a commercial customer, you can actually get access to you can subscribe to our customer success program. That provides access to technical hours, which you can then utilize in a training environment. Now, if you're a community customer, the access to Jaspersoft resources is somewhat limited. However, we still have a lot of content available on jaspersoft.com. If you go out to jaspersoft.com and under resources, you can see webinars like this that we've done in the past that you can access. There's on-demand events you can look at. And we also on our YouTube channel have a YouTube channel that has extensive help available. Also, incidentally, within the tool itself, there are links to training the YouTube training that it can be applied for specific content. So those are some possibilities. Next one, how is the data feed toward Jaspersoft done for visualizations? Real time? Great question. That is actually how Jaspersoft does. Jaspersoft works on a poll model. So when you run the report, it goes out and pulls the data in. Now, we do have facilities built into the server that facilitate caching if it's a frequently run query. But the idea is that the data comes from your environment and is not stored within Jaspersoft. It is pulled when it's requested. Another question, does Jaspersoft have its own database of data fed into comparative charts, such as month-to-month results, year-to-date results? Jaspersoft does not have a database that is utilized to store data. However, we do have the capability to create we have an in-memory engine, data engine, that if you pull data from your data sources, and then it can take, after the query, it can then apply additional aggregations, et cetera, as necessary. So it takes advantage of the power of your end data source and then adds in additional calculations capability. Next question, is there certification for Jaspersoft? That's a good question. There has been certification in the past. I don't know if there's currently a certification offered, but reach out to our contact us with that question, and mention my name, Scott, and I will. They'll send that information on to me, and I'll get you that answer. Let's see, another question. What webinars available to further our learning on how to build dashboards, ad hoc reports, etc.? Again, in Jaspersoft.com, under resources, there is a collection of webinars that have been delivered in the past. In addition, I would recommend looking at our Quick Start Guide. On that Quick Start Guide, there are additional videos about specific aspects. So if you go under the, in fact, let me just go ahead and pull that up, and we can look at Jaspersoft. Go out to Jaspersoft.com and we can see some of this stuff. Let's see, let me go back over here. And so basically, here's Jaspersoft.com. Under resources, you've got access to the demos, webinars, events, customer stories, insight articles, and this reference library has all the above in a searchable format. And you also have this Quick Start Guide, which has help about getting started, things that you need to get to download, videos on how to deploy in different environments. This working with data is very useful. It has videos with regards to making reports using the different tools I've shown you. And so that's information that's available. Also, information around integrating and embedding within your application and different ways of white labeling, etc. So there's a lot of information available in Jaspersoft.com. That looks like all the questions that we've got. Thank you for joining me today. I do enjoy talking about Jaspersoft. Jaspersoft is a great tool for creating content and creating those effective, dazzling reports. And basically, I encourage you to, I hope you caught the vision of what Jaspersoft can help you accomplish. And I hope to hear from you soon as you evaluate and become a Jaspersoft customer. Thank you. Have a wonderful day.